Brought to you by Podcast City Network. Interviewing all your favorite deathmatch superstars. 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 Deathmatch rock songs. Deathmatch rock songs. Deathmatch rock songs. Deathmatch rock songs. Ah, yeah.
And good evening, everyone. You're listening to another Deathmatch Russell podcast. It's Friday night, and we're going to be talking to the co-owner of Manor. Professional Wrestling Dinner Theater. Tune in right now. We're going to talk to him and see what he's up to and talk about this. And much, much more. Stay tuned, fans. Well, good evening, Lewis, and how you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, man? How are you tonight, Lewis? I forgot to announce.
I'm doing great.
I forgot
You're
to.
just excited.
I think I just forgot to announce your name on the podcast, but that's okay. The more important thing is the association and the business. So, how you doing tonight?
Yeah. I'm doing good, man. Just excited to be on the podcast. You know, it's
Yes.
Friday, thank goodness.
I know.
Tomorrow.
I know.
Yeah, we're heading out to Warped Tour tomorrow to Flyer. So, man, life is good.
Oh, cool, man. That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah. I got nothing going on this weekend. I'm just going to take a chill weekend. Do nothing. How's that?
There you go.
You know?
Yeah, man. I think, with running your podcast, those chill weekends, they'll usually turn into something, right? I can never stay away from work. So.
Well, yeah, I'm a garbage man by day, so it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So,
Yes.
yeah, man, thank you so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to be part of the podcast.
Yes. I wanted to reach out to you because I was like, this sounded interesting, and I like the concept. A dinner theater wrestling promotion. That's really what people don't realize is that it's pretty cool to have that kind of concept. You know what I mean? It's something new for people to check out.
Yes, it's definitely something different, and that's kind of what we wanted to do, man. I mean, a lot of the inspiration, although it's a very different show, came from some of the edgier shows that are going on right now, like Hood Slam, run by my boy Sheik, or like Lucha.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hey, I want to have you call me back. Call my number, 732. I'm on with the owner. I'd love to have you come on right now.
Call you back?
Yes, and I'll add you to the call.
Okay. All right.
You know my number, right? 732-608-1423. Sorry about that. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, man. Can you hear me?
Yes, just bear with me. My friend wants to join you, so that'd be great. 3 people and the conversation is good.
Love it.
Yeah. So you're out there flyering. He said that's awesome. I'm sure I can edit this out of here, so don't worry.
All right, cool. When's this air, by the way?
It's going to be it's live right now. We're live, buddy.
Oh, nice. So it's just the future ones that won't be all botched up. It's
Yeah.
Cool.
732. Oops. Giving him the number to call my. Oh shit! I'm fucking drawing a blank. I got it.
It's all good, man. How long you been running the podcast?
Oh, pretty long time.
Nice, man.
About over a year and a half. Decided, I wanted to be a fan of wrestling and spread the word of deathmatch wrestling and independent wrestling. Get it out there to the public. And the East Coast,
Fantastic.
I'm the only one on the East Coast that has a podcast that separates it, and that's what you need.
For sure.
All right, I got him. He's gonna join our call in a minute.
All right, cool.
Yeah, his name's Everett.
Everett. Okay, cool.
Everett, are you there?
Yeah.
You
Still kind of going on there. Where?
Everett, you still there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lewis,
Okay.
Lewis, are you there?
I'm here, man. What's up?
Hey, Everett. I know you could edit this later, but yeah, hi, Everett Lee, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. This is Deathmatch Russell with my other host of another network, Everett Lee Show, and the Podcast City Network. Everett Lee is on the air with my guest tonight. Our guest tonight, he's a co-owner of the Manor Professional Wrestling Dinner Theater, Lewis.
Yeah, that's a mouthful, man. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Absolutely.
Everett, glad to have you on, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Same here. Glad to be on Deathmatch Wrestle podcast with the great David C. Russell.
Yes.
How you been?
Doing good, man. Can't complain.
That's great.
We were just talking about he was just out flyering. He's out sending out flyers right now at the Warped Tour.
Yeah, that's why it sounds like a cacophony of noise out here. But I figured there's got to be some kind of crossover between punk fans and wrestling fans. So.
Mm-hmm. There always
Oh
is.
yeah, the rock and wrestling connection, man. That's been really big. I mean, especially if you look back at the 1980s with what WWE did back then with MTV, with the Revolution, with the rock and wrestle thing.
And recently, just think about it. We just had ICP Juggalo Championship Wrestling. JCW just had their show Juggalo Wrestling event with the Rock and all that. So it was badass too.
Yeah. Man, it's and who is it? Pussifer, Maynard from Tool has a band that goes on tour with a wrestling ring, and I only know this because some of my buddies in the business went on tour with them. So they do like these lucha matches in between sets. So dude, there's a huge connection there. I love it,
dude. And I'm so stoked because actually I'm going to be seeing I'm sure you've seen it all over the internet. GCW Game Changer Wrestling, Lost in New York, and the band Wheatus is playing. We cannot. Yes.
Awesome.
I know.
Yeah. And kind of a chocolate and peanut butter connection ourselves. We are, as far as I know, the only dinner wrestling show around, and that's kind of our shtick, right? So maybe it's not so much rock and roll, but the idea that you can get an elegant 3-course meal and come out and watch a crazy, like, fantasy-inspired wrestling show, kind of a brainchild between myself and Brian Smith, the other co-owner. Mm-hmm. And, just a labor of love, man, that we can't wait to kind of spring upon the guests at Legoland and, throughout the Central Florida area.
That is excellent. I live in Daytona Beach, and I was surprised when Robin Nilsson told me about this out near Central Florida there, and I never heard of it. And once I listened to his podcast and listened to you talk about it and discuss about it, I was impressed. There's nothing like that in Central
There is
Florida.
nothing. There is nothing on the internet, anywhere. No association ever had that. That like professional wrestling company, and I'm glad you guys are taking it to the level that people need to see it.
Cool, man. Thank you. Yeah, dude, no, if you're in Daytona, you definitely got to come check us out. I'm sure being a wrestling fan, you're, familiar with a lot of the other promotions there, and I'm good friends with a lot of the guys that run those too, man. But ours is something a little bit different. It's definitely more family oriented. It's definitely more, meant for tourists, but for sure wrestling fans are going to get their kicks. And, I will say that I think we have one of the best rosters, anywhere in the state. So, a lot of guys you're probably familiar with, guys like Blanco Loco, guys like, Cajegas, guys like Alex McKay. So, definitely a great group of guys doing something a little bit different with those skills.
Very cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's neat because Central Florida, especially just Florida in general, has a wide, diverse of wrestling promotions. Man, I mean, talking about Central Florida, there you got MLW ran by Court Bauer, and then now we have Manor Professional Wrestling Dinner Theater. I mean, it's growing. The promotions are growing, and there's so much variety that people can check out different promotions and just see what there is out there and what there is to offer.
Dude, it's such an incredible time to be both a fan and to be a worker. I would have killed for this back when I was still working, but the boys have a place where they can work pretty much every day, work a new group of guys, work a new crowd, be traveling, be making money. So it's an awesome time for the business, and it's an awesome time for the state, Just an awesome time to be a wrestling fan if you're anywhere near Florida or anywhere in the Southeast.
Could I ask you this? Who did you grow up watching as a fan?
Me, I actually like the big, crazy, colorful gimmicks, and I think that's kind of what informs Manor's style of wrestling. Like, my first thoughts of wrestling are back with my grandpa showing me Doink the Clown and, like, Ricky Dragon Steamboat, but when he was, like, doing the whole fire eater gimmick and the giant dragon costume and stuff, that always kind of, like, tripped me out. And it wasn't until much, much later when, he passed away and I really got into it, decided it was something I wanted to pursue as a career, that I got into a lot of the technical guys that I did, like a lot more of the those guys with, like, a really solid foundation, guys like Dean Malenko, guys like Eddie Guerrero, even guys like Carl Gotch and Antonio Inopes, stuff like that.
Right. Go ahead, Everett.
Ricky Steamboat, I loved the Ricky Steamboat dragon gimmick when he breathed the fire. That was just fantastic. I love that gimmick there.
So spectacular. Like, if you're a kid watching, you know what I mean? That my first, instincts of watching wrestling were like, this is like a giant Saturday morning cartoon show come to life. There's this guy coming out here breathing fire with giant wings, and I'm just wondering when he's going to jump in the air and fly over the audience or something. That hooked me for life.
Yeah.
That
was the
yeah, definitely. One of my favorite talking about that was when Steamboat went back to the WWE. He was called the Dragon. If I'm correct or if I'm wrong there. It's been a while, but yeah, during the gimmicks, I agree with you. I loved how in your face Macho Man Randy Savage was, how colorful he was, the Ultimate Warrior, and how dark and demonic the Undertaker was. And
McFoley, how he came into life as three characters in his career, and then it was great. It was just great.
And it's crazy because, like, Ricky Steamboat, like, I look back now and I'm like, okay, so he didn't have the most spectacular matches during that part of his career, but you go back and you watch and you're like, oh, this guy's incredible. Like, 8-year-old Lewis, this is really, really dumb. Like, you should like this guy because he's an amazing wrestler. But that's not what caught my attention. You know what I mean? It's like when you're going down the aisles and you're looking at cereals and the Trix box is screaming at you in bright red. That's what those characters were, and I'm really glad that they were as loud and kind of goofy as they were, because it kind of turned into a lifelong obsession.
Now, what was your first event attending as a kid, or in your teen years, growing up?
My first show was, I got to think about it. It was probably, no, I didn't make that. So it was probably the first show I ever worked. I wound up, right out of high school, went and found a part-time job, you know what I mean? Worked up, saved up $2,000, called every school I could find, found one that was luckily 10 blocks from the house. And
I was going to say you're from Brooklyn originally, so I probably know a lot of the promotions that were probably around, what I'm talking about, that were probably...
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I actually trained down here in Florida, but I am from Brooklyn, but I moved down when I was in high school,
Right.
And it's ironic, too, because I really appreciate the training I got here. Like, I always loved the work that was coming out of the Northeast, I really loved, watching the Ring of Honor stuff and the stuff that was coming out of New Jersey, New Japan Pro, or not New Japan Pro, but the New Jersey Pro, right? And I loved watching those guys, Amazing Red, Low Key, stuff like that. But down here, they really took like storytelling seriously, that old school like Southern style of making sure that there was like good, clean contact. And so it's things that I really came to appreciate and kind of love about, pro wrestling.
Right on. Go ahead, Everett.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Everett.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. I mean, just watching your first event and just getting into it and stuff, and just local promotion, seeing what's around is just that draws you in. And for me, it was just watching it on WWE, and I didn't really attend my first wrestling event, I think, probably back in '94 at the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach. I don't even remember what it was. It was a house show. My stepmom won tickets off the radio here, and me and my dad went out there. And at that time, I couldn't even tell you what was on the card, because at that time I was kind of not into it like I was as a kid there, in the late '90s, how wrestling was. I mean, not late '90s, but early '90s, excuse me. And yeah, experience your first wrestling event, man. It's just one fantastic thing.
Lewis, as a kid.
Oh, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, as a kid growing up, here on the East Coast, I actually, wrestling was. I just was born around wrestling here. Like everywhere where I would go, there's local shows and stuff. But I got to see my first match ever was Mick Foley versus Eddie Gilbert in a street fight, hardcore match at a local high school in Toms River, New Jersey.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And it just changed your life. And I actually got to take a step back. No, my first wrestling show was actually a TNA show, and it was because they were running out of Orlando, and I was watching the tapes from when they were in Nashville, right? And I would buy the pay-per-views, and I would mow people's lawns and stuff so that I could afford the $10 to watch AJ Styles and Jeff Jarrett and stuff and whatever other goofy things were going on in Nashville. And then they came to Florida and they started filming at Universal. One of my buddies was like, "Hey man, they're filming the TNA shows. We should go." And I think, I was probably 16 years old, and it was incredible. I was just blown away. And the amount of talent they had at that time,
the roster
not to excuse the pun, phenomenal. Yeah.
The roster was unbelievable back then. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, my nephew, he talked about going to Impact shows back in the day and stuff. I mean, Alex Red, he's a promoter here in Florida here for Atomic Revolutionary Wrestling, and he started out being one of the people that would come across you there at the City Walk there, and where they were filming it at, and just handing out flyers to get people to come watch the show.
Yeah, it was crazy in those days, man, because there was a lot of people just kind of sitting on their hands because they got pulled in, and they were like, well, this beats, walking around the hot Florida sun. But, dude, we were into it. We loved it.
Yeah, the scene.
So that's awesome.
Yeah. The scene was everywhere, but look at it now. Look where it is now, man. It's everywhere you go.
Yeah, no, it's amazing to see the renaissance wrestling has had, and just some of the crazy stuff going on in the industry right now, man. I mean, we're in a day and age where AJ Styles is the world champion for the Fed, and New Japan's got its own streaming service, and they're working with Ring of Honor, and they're selling out 10,000 seat shows in 30 minutes. It's
they're all in. I mean, all in is the big thing too. Come on, that's unbelievable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it gives you hope as a promoter, man. It makes you think dude, if these guys can do it, then hopefully I can sell 200 seats out in Central Florida.
Yeah, we're gonna come to a show. We're gonna work on something when we do something special for our anniversary show. We plan something in 2019.
Heck yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Podcasting Network is doing its 1-year anniversary show in January of next year, and we're in talks. Me and the other co-owner of the Podcasting Network, Chris Carnage, we're in talks and throwing ideas around, and one place for sure that we will have it will be at City Limits Tap Room in DeLand, Florida. We'll have it there.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's just...
So if you feel free to come on over, you're more than welcome to come over as our guest, right, Everett?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
We'd love to come out and represent for Manor, and for sure celebrate a year of you guys being on your own podcast network. So that's amazing.
Oh yeah, it's
because we also we want to work with you and get sponsorships. How's that? And get you guys.
Oh,
right, Everett. Go ahead. Let you take this part. This is this guy. This is his.
You put me on the spot, David. You put me on the spot.
Yes.
Yeah. Since we've been running this network since January of this year, we've been going strong for 7 months. We have 14 shows up on the network, and a lot of them have basically already had a good fan following. And since we've all come together, it's just started to grow. And right now, our wrestling podcasts, such as David's Deathmatch Wrestle podcast and Robin Nilsson's Wrestle Podcast, and the coverage I do on the Everett Lee Show of wrestling, it's just because wrestling's taken over the last 3 months on the network. And we're looking into what's out there for wrestling to partner with, to do something with Podcast City Network and a partnership just to promote each other and just get word of mouth out, and just help each other out with promoting and letting people know. It's like, check this out, and you got to check this out.
Dude, I love that. That's so cool, because I remember when things were territorial, right? And again, that's not a pun. Like, there were guys that took it deadly serious if you ran in their town, But I think I'm seeing so much more cooperation, and I think the glue is kind of like, hey, wait a minute, guys. We're all in or around the business. We all have a mutual love and respect for the business. And so it can only grow when we decide we're going to put aside a lot of this, like the silly quarrels, and kind of come together and try to help each other out, man. Because at the end of the day, nobody I know is specifically getting rich off of it. So them having the opportunity to work and find new places and new audiences that love what they're doing, I'm all about it, man. My guys work for promotions up and down the state, all over the country, all over the world, man. And for me, it's a beautiful thing they're doing, getting to travel, getting to make money, and I'm all about it, man.
That is awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely have to talk afterwards after this podcast, and get in contact with each other and give contact info, and
social.
See if we get something going, man.
Yeah, and
sounds good.
And Lewis, I'd love to have your talent on my show. Bring them on, man. Bring them on.
Oh, let's do it, man. I got some great guys. Like I said, I've got an amazing roster of guys.
Yeah.
And they're such a supportive group, dude. And just really, really helpful in getting this thing off the ground and really talking it up.
Me and Everett would love to help you out, right, Everett? We'll have them on the podcast. We'll get something going for them.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely. Would love to talk with the rest of the boys, workers that you have, and love to talk with them and get them on and
promote it.
Let people know and
who they are.
Promote. Yeah, exactly.
And who they are and who you guys are. It's the way we.
Dude, we'll make it happen. Like, here's the cool thing. And again, we talked about the Saturday morning thing and how it kind of attracts fans and stuff like that. That's what we have at our show. So we've got like an evil clown named Chuckles. Mm-hmm. And, he'll be in your nightmares for years. We've got, this giant luchador named Anubis who looks like he could swallow you whole. We have got, Blanco Loco and Joey Osborne, the international superstars, who will amaze you with their, incredible acts of athleticism. Like there's an incredible roster of guys, and I can't wait for you guys to meet them and for the world to kind of be like, wow, this is great. This is what I love about pro wrestling.
This is why podcast. This is why we help you guys. This is why we help each other out, get them on the air to let people know who they are. That's the way to be I'm a fan of wrestling, and my podcast. I don't charge. You know how the big companies charge. I don't. This is word of mouth.
Yeah.
I get my stuff, and I say, you guys are great. I enjoy having you as guests. And then we become good friends, and it's great. It's a great relationship.
it's an adventure, man, for sure. And yeah, man, it's that's what it's about, man. Just making these friendships and finding people who are as passionate about something as you are. So
yeah. And also, what's the next show actually? What's the next show coming up?
Oh, cool. Yeah. So our first show at our new location, right across from Legoland, Florida, is going to be on August the 11th. It is a Saturday night. And then the thing about our show is because it's really for the dinner theater crowd, we'll be running every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday after that. So,
cool.
Yeah, it is definitely a tourist destination. Excuse me. So it's not like other shows where you got to wait a month or 3 months before your next show. Dude, every weekend you can come through, and catch a Manor show.
Wow, that sounds awesome. Doesn't it ever? Really, we're ready to go. We'll be there eventually.
Yeah, it does.
For sure.
It does. It definitely does, because I'm looking forward to it, and I'd love to come check it out. And that's good, because I know when you guys are running shows, and I'll definitely have to hit you up when I'm coming by to check out the next show.
Yeah, dude, definitely. We'll make sure we take care of you. Of course, we want to support people who support us. So, when we're done here on the podcast, we'll hook something up for you, especially since you're so close, man. It'd be cool.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely would love that, man.
Yeah. So, what are you guys excited about right now in wrestling, man? What's going on? What are you guys watching? What are you guys digging right now?
Wow, there's so much right now, man. Well, you know me, I'm from the East Coast, so it's CZW, it's GCW, it's just a lot of good wrestling right now coming out. A lot of stuff that's just like popping everywhere. Game Changers like on the scene right now, taking state by state. You know that. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, it is, man. It's nuts. It's great to see what those guys are doing, and even the fact that I guess hardcore, like ultraviolence. So we don't do any of that stuff because we're a kid show. But the fact that it's becoming much more appreciated, right? I know for a while it was kind of looked down on, and now it's
it died. It died. Yep.
Work.
Yeah, it died.
Yeah.
Because because it was it was the timing was just the athletic commissions and Pennsylvania and New Jersey have those rules. The no bleed rules. And so it's whatever. But they come to terms and whatever. Wrestling gets everywhere now. It's all over the place.
No doubt.
I mean, hell, they just announced in April WrestleMania 3. WrestleMania, fucking 3 shows. They're gonna run. GCW's running 3 shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Not 2 shows, not 2, 3 this time. It's really gonna. I mean, hell.
Wrestling your weekend gonna be bananas.
Yeah. But for
it definitely is.
But for Everett Lee, he's Everett watches a lot of stuff locally. He catches a lot of good stuff. He's on the New Japan scene. I'm not too into it, but I know a lot about it. And we just got hooked up with Frantic of Chikara Pro Wrestling. We've just been talking to him, and we're really. I haven't been to since I live in Jersey, I haven't been to a Chikara ever, but I'm going to make my way over there. But we're really enjoying. I've told Everett so much about it, and he's learning so much about it now.
Oh, that's so cool, dude.
I didn't even know a promotion like that existed until
Mike Quackenbush
hit us up on hit Podcast Day Network up and was wanting to do something with our shows.
Yeah,
and it was just amazing that seeing what Chikara Pro does, because like you said, the colorful characters, that's what Chikara Pro has, and they keep it. What I like about it is, which you don't see much nowadays in wrestling, is kayfabe. They keep everything kayfabe, and it's great. And it's just great. And that's new water. I'd have to say that we're trending, because having Frantic on and having a character in kayfabe and trying to interview him, it's a little bit tricky because of things that you can't really do on a shoot interview, like who trained you, where'd you grow up and stuff. You just got to go with the kayfabe of it and just make the most of it, make the best of it. I feel like when I was talking with Frantic, when we had him on my show last night on the Everett Lee show, we did a segment with him. I felt like Mean Gene Okerlund interviewing the Ultimate Warrior backstage. That's what it felt like. And it's Yeah, it's just like a shoot promo. That's it. You know, I don't know if I would call it an interview. I'd call it more like a promo because that's what it felt like. And it was just good because it's something we normally don't do. You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. I love that because it's like, you know, stepping outside my box on what normally I would do, and like with the questions, and then just going into doing a straight kayfabe interview, you know, talking about who he's going up against, who's your opponents, and just what do you expect out of this event and so forth, you know. And it's just, I love it. I love it.
You get to get lost in it, man. And it's like what Shakar is doing, what Kaiju Big Battle's doing, what Hustle does in Japan, and like what we kind of do at Manor. It's like it's breaking the mold of what you think of when you think of a professional wrestling show. And it's funny that, you know, kayfabe is so strictly adhered to, but it's so much more like fantasy than it is like two guys in black tights beating each other up.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely is.
And you really learn the knowledge of like the promotion, because you know who's wrestled in it. Mike Quackenbush, the owner. Come on. I mean,
yes.
You know, I mean, it's really the person who behind the science of it, and then he has a podcast on top of that is a plus. He like really tells you what's going on. If you haven't heard that podcast, it's amazing.
No, Quack is you know, really, really smart with that kind of thing. And then you just look at the alumni from that school, and you look at the alumni for that promotion, Chris Hero, Claudio Castagnoli. It's like just a who's who of incredible athletes.
And Rory, the head trainer, Rory Gulak, come on, he's doing really good with them still.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The Gulak brothers, you know? Come on. It's really an honor to have him there to help. He loves it.
Yeah, speaking of Gulak, for a whole year, I did not watch 205 Live. I mean, I started watching it when it first came out on the network.
But after I did CZW,
I just wasn't too impressed. But a year later, just a few months ago, I was watching SmackDown Live one Tuesday night, and they were promoting what was coming on, like they always do for 205 Live, and I'm like, But then they were talking about Cedric Alexander versus Buddy Murphy for the Cruiserweight Championship. So I tuned in.
That was incredible.
It was. I tuned into it, and you know, from hearing what was going on the internet about who took over 205 Live, I was like, you know what, it's gonna probably pick up, because if Triple H is taking over 205 Live, it's gonna be more focused on wrestling, and that's it, because of what he's done with NXT. And when I watched that episode, and when I came to that match, there was moments where I was almost jumping off the couch, because so many close pinfalls. My wife had to calm me down because my daughter was asleep. He's like, you're gonna wake up your daughter, because it was like, damn, because it was just. And after the match, I was like, I've never seen a 205 match like this. I said, I haven't watched it in a year. I said, I'm gonna start watching this more often now. And I have. I've been picking it up here and there, watching it, and keeping up with NXT definitely. I mean,
we're talking about Matt Riddle. Look at that. Look at Matt Riddle. Look at that. What do you think of that?
Oh yeah, that is going to be huge, man. I'm excited about it. I mean, there's so much talent just brimming everywhere, and it's like a bunch of the guys here in Florida, WWE's here right now. Guys I grew up with, guys that I'm working with right now, are going and doing shows for him, and I'm like, dude, the talent is just incredible, and it's amazing to see that no matter how much WWE gobbles up, and then they're doing a great job with these guys, but new people come in and kind of fill that spot, and take things like, you think the indie scene's going to be dead because it's just going to be barren. And instead, new guys come in and just make it incredible all over.
And the female, too. Come on, the females are dominant. They're really...
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I mean...
they've come... It's come a long way since having, like, especially with the big promotion like WWE, with bra and panty matches and 2-minute matches. Now they're showing that they can do what the guys can do. And it's fantastic, because there's so many and so much great women talent out there, on the, in the big companies and on the indies. And they're just so much great, just talent out there.
Oh, dude, and it wasn't fair. 'Cause back in the day, man, I used to love, like, watching Molly Holly matches or watching, like, Gail Kim matches. And, I mean, but most times, and it probably just came down a lot to the training. There was very, very pretty girls who couldn't really hang in the ring. And now it's like there is all this talent, and it's so diverse, and not everybody's a cookie-cutter model. And it's just such an exciting time to kind of watch what I think was really happening in the late 90s, early 2000s for mainstream wrestling. Guys like Spike Dudley were coming along and just kind of, changing the landscape there to where now you don't really have a land of giants anymore. You're seeing the same thing happen with the women, right? So you got girls like Piper Niven or like, what was her name? Jazzy, right? Who came into that women's tournament, and you're just like, these girls are awesome, and they kick all kinds of ass. So, for sure.
Oh yeah, it is, and it's neat to see. Yeah, some of the ones that you follow in the indies and stuff. I mean, for example, like Santana Garrett. I seen her in a promotion. Wrestling Live and a promotion, and then actually like see her doing like matches for NXT, and actually seeing her in the Mae Young Classic last year was just fantastic.
And people on the rise. I'm sorry, and people on the rise that I told Everett about, it was Maria Manic from the East Coast. She's the next. She's a dominant beast of the East. She's powerful. So she's like. And I think
I was just going to say, man, it's funny you mentioned Santana, because she's actually a Manor alumni. When we were doing shows in Kissimmee, she used to work for us, and just an incredible talent and just like the nicest person backstage. And, it's hard to put her over more, man. The fact that she's getting seen by all of these faces, it's definitely due to all the hard work she puts in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, she goes out there, she's a great worker, and she gets out there and she entertains and gets out there and she puts on some really great matches, man. And it's looking on Twitter when she does an appearance on NXT, it's like my feed just goes all to hell, man, because it's like, wow, she's on. It's like, oh, you're on NXT, and it's like she tweets it out there. Did you catch me on NXT? And so much positive feedback and stuff and everything, and it's just. Yeah. It's fantastic, but yeah, like a lot of the promotions and stuff, like New Japan, I caught last month or 2 months ago now. It's been 2 months. They came over here at Ocean Center, Daytona Beach. They did the thing with CEO Gaming. New Japan did, and that was fantastic. Seeing New Japan wrestlers and seeing having that CEO Gaming tournament with Kenny Omega being involved with it and New Japan. Yeah. And then afterwards, it's like across in the Ocean Center, you had gamers who are like, hey, what's going on over here? It's like, oh, they're doing wrestling. Mm-hmm. They go over there and check it out. And wrestling fans are like, oh, gaming. And it mixed so well. And the show, the matches, the card they had for that was just fantastic. It was great. Well,
dude, it's crazy how those worlds are kind of melding. And it's, the stuff I grew up on, right? So, like, things that, 20 years ago, it was Revenge of the Nerds, right? If you read comic books, or if you played video games too much, you played D&D, or you watched wrestling, like you were in this category, like just persona non grata. And now these worlds are kind of melding. You mentioned the CEO thing, which was fantastic, but then also like the different cons out here, right? So MegaCon, Tampa Bay Comic Con. I know they just did a big one out on the East Coast too. All of those have wrestling shows now, and they're getting huge amounts of press. Like, what was it, Jeffrey the Giraffe, like hitting somebody with a rock bottom? Like 10 million views or whatever it is.
Yeah, actually, Everett just came back from a convention.
Yeah, this 2 weeks ago, I was at that wrestling event in Orlando, Florida there, and that was a really good event. Sorry about that. My dogs wanting me to let them out. But yeah, that was such a good event there, that wrestling event. I got to meet Jim Cornette. I got to talk with him briefly. I got to briefly talk with Eric Bischoff, which was pretty cool.
Which he gave us a shout out.
Got to chat with Billy Gunn.
He actually gave us a shout out during the week here on his live Facebook.
That's awesome. No, man, those cons, dude, are becoming such a big way to bring in new wrestling fans, and the fact that it's respected by guys who have done everything. You know what I mean? Like, so Rey Mysterio showing up, and Brian Cage is showing up, and Billy Gunn and everybody else. It just shows that it's becoming a lot more accepted. Versus what it was, 20 years ago.
Yeah, Ever went to a wrestling show? Remember that, Ever? You went to a show and you met a fan. You did, right? You just met a fan hanging out, just talking. It was like
yeah. I did at the that wrestling event. Met a guy there. He was doing some stuff for his for his YouTube channel, and I hung out with him and I talked with him and told him about Podcasting Network. And there was a couple times where he asked me to be his cameraman, and I said, yeah, no problem. So I basically was his cameraman. And then at the New Japan event I went to two months ago, I was sitting next to a guy who was on vacation in Coco, and he heard about the New Japan CEO Gaming, and he drove up from Coco to Daytona just to see it.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
No, probably the craziest call we just got the other day, man, for something similar. I had this couple from Scotland call, and the husband's turning 70, and they're coming to Florida for vacation, and they want to know if they can come see the Man of Dinner Theater because he's been a lifelong wrestling fan, and she thinks it's like the coolest way to celebrate his 70th birthday. So, dude, it's all people from all over, and the, you know what I mean? And again, the stigma's just not there anymore. It's really cool.
That is really cool. And you mentioned about MegaCon Tampa, second rounds podcast, Florida edition from they're going to be heading there actually. I think it's next month, for the Tampa Bay MegaCon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Because MegaCon used to just be Orlando, but now they have a Tampa variant too. So that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to bring the Who You Got Challenge, which is pretty neat. They go up and they interact with fans. They do on their show there on the Florida and the New York edition. They do an elimination thing where they take characters and put them up against each other, and they narrow it down on which person is taking what to the con, and they ask people, if you have these people in a matchup, who would win, and the people go through.
And you never.
And at the Orlando MegaCon, Tommy, who runs both the New York and the Florida, he lives here in Florida, had a chance to talk and get Ember Moon on to do the Who You Got Challenge.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really great, man.
Heck, yeah.
It was really good.
Cool.
And like you said, it's like all these everything's, crossing over and stuff, and how things used to be growing up, and then now it's like becoming mainstream and stuff, and it's becoming more of an acceptance.
HorrorCon.
Yeah.
HorrorCon's coming up and all these crazy things again, It's great. Love it.
Oh, dude, for sure, man. And the horror stuff too, man. It's been awesome to see, and I think that's one area where maybe wrestling could go a little bit closer to that direction. Originally, when we were kind of pitching Manor, I was pitching it as like a haunted house experience for wrestling, where you would have scare actors and stuff come out and kind of,
Yeah.
So I would love to see how you could mix those two worlds, man.
You could do it. You could do it. It's a skill to test. You don't know.
Yeah.
Halloween special. But yeah, there's lots of things you could do. Lots of things. Oh
yeah, man.
But
possibilities are limitless.
Oh yeah, but you guys. So yeah, you have a show coming up. We were talking about that earlier. So yeah.
August 11th, man. It's gonna be our first show. We've still got some VIP seats available. General admission's almost sold out. VIP seats, you get in early. You get to take pictures in the ring with some of the boys. You get a free T-shirt. So stop by www.manorprowrestling.com and get your tickets while they're still available.
Wow, I'd like to get one of those shirts. I told you I'm gonna hook you up with, and he's gonna hook you up with a podcast city shirt. So I'm sure we can do a swap somewhere.
Oh, we'll get you guys some Manor shirts for sure.
Yeah.
Just let me know your sizes when we're done here, and I'll get them sent out. I still got to send Robin his.
Yeah.
So I'll just do all three of them at the same time.
And I'll send you out a Deathmatch Russell podcast lapel pin. How's that? Something brand new.
What was that?
I got a lapel pins. You put on your bags, hats, backpacks.
Yes.
Yeah. Something cool.
Cool, definitely. We got some. I'll send you guys some trading cards too, man. We had
cool.
a lot of the wrestlers done up as like almost like comic book characters or like anime characters.
Isn't that like CZ? Oh, I think CZW did that in Chikara. They do that, don't they? They do like the trading cards. I remember that.
I think I've seen something like that.
Yeah. Oh, cool, man. That's a pretty cool concept. Hey, Everett, now we can do a Podcast City and Deathmatch Wrestle comic card.
That would be great. That'd be great because a while back ago when, actually this year when we first started the network, the shows that we started out with, the shows that I've known for quite a while that I had, asked to be part of this network. One night I was sitting there on the computer and I pulled up, and it was right around the time when Avengers Infinity War came out, and then they were showing all these posters. So I took a Avengers Infinity War poster, and I took everyone that's on the shows on the network, and I photoshopped everyone's face on a character of like the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy on the poster. And I sent it to everybody, and everyone just thought it was the greatest thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, Everett actually has a friend who was a wrestler also back in the day, and it's on YouTube, right, Everett?
What's his name?
Well, Chris Carnage. He was a former wrestler. He did a lot of shows here in Florida and up north, up in Pennsylvania. And also there was a guy called the Renegade, which did a lot here with Florida Championship Wrestling. He did, I guess, stuff with I forget the promoter's name, but he did some shows here, and he got back into it for a little bit and then got back out and stuff. But yeah, I don't know if you ever heard of the Renegade. He was mostly over.
Both of those names sound really familiar. I started coming in to the scene here in like 2004. So there were a lot of guys kind of leaving, a lot of guys coming. Because at that time, wrestling was kind of on the downswing. But, there was a lot of really talented guys here in Central Florida. So I'm sure I probably ran across them, at a few
watch this podcast. You love it. Everett, send him that episode.
Oh, I will. We had some hijinks. I have hijinks on my show. I try to do a little bit of comedy. I try to throw some stuff in there, some off the wall like skits and stuff, and I try to make it entertaining and just do stuff. It's like, what do we do today? It's like, I'm going to have a guest come on, and we're going to be talking about different types of beers and stuff, and sample each one and talk about it. And I'm going to have a guy come in with a ring bell and knock you out, and then come after with the chair, like that. I'm interviewing someone, guy busting in through my door in the studio with a chair, taking out people and stuff.
And you had a mask on, and the mask guy, whoever that was. Remember Everett?
Yeah. M, which we still think M. It was the Menace. The Menace was the terrorizer for the Everett Lee show. He shows up whenever and he knocks people out and leaves. And we still think, but he said there's no connection with him and M being the same character. M is a orange mask luchador wrestler from Mexico, but he sounds like he's from the States. But he sounds like the Menace. He acts like the Menace, but there's no connection, and we're still trying to figure that out if he is or isn't.
So we'll send that to you. I love it. We'll send you that footage. It's great.
For sure, send me that, man. That sounds great. Like another one of my favorite gimmicks is back when Owen Hart was doing the blue blazer gimmick, and then to kind of disprove that it was him, he would have Mark Henry go out there in the same costume. And I've always been like, dude, I want to do that. Just like, switch out like a pasty white guy for like a giant like Samoan or something and be like, yeah, we're the same guy under the hood,
Yeah, that's awesome. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
But
no, man. Speaking of the Infinity Gauntlet, like that is one of the like differences, I guess, with our show. So like our guys go after a belt, but it's called the Manor Medallion, and it's kind of a Deus Ex Machina, right? It's like your Infinity Gauntlet. Like whoever controls that, whoever collects all the medallions, gets like the power over the manor. So
that's kind of like the lucha. Is that like the lucha kind of like what they do on the lucha underground almost?
Well, I see, and I've heard that Lucha Underground does something like that, and I know I've seen like promos where Cage has like a gauntlet himself. It's similar, but it's
your own thing.
I guess it's just it's our own thing, exactly. Yeah, because it's more supernatural, right? The good guys, the evil guys. It's kind of Lord of the Rings-ish, I guess, if you could call it something.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
But you have anything?
Yeah, definitely.
You have anything else for us? We'll let you hit the road.
No, man. I really appreciate the opportunity. Again, everybody check out Manor, ManorProWrestling.com. If you're in Florida, definitely check us out. Support indie wrestling wherever you are. And it was great meeting you guys, man. We definitely gotta, get together again.
We're gonna get. No, of course, Everett will be. He's the businessman, so he will get with you.
All right. Thanks so much, guys.
Yes. Thank you very much for being on, Lewis.
Of course. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Still there, Everett?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Wow. What a great guest that was, Everett. My gosh. You want to talk about it? Go ahead. We just had a great guest on the air.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing, and I can't wait to go check out this show. And I'm looking at the website right now. I'm going to look at tickets and see what tickets I want to get, and I'm definitely going to go check this out.
That sounds really cool. I'm glad that somebody like this, there's people out there that run a promotion for dinner and wrestling. I mean, where do you dinner, wrestling, theater? It's great. It's a great concept. Really something people need to see. But go ahead and plug away and get us out of here. We can edit this and have fun after.
Well, you can check out the Everett Lee Show, which will be featuring next week with a brand new episode next Friday night on the Podcast City Network's new channel on Twitch. So be sure to check Everett Lee Show's new live stream home on Twitch. Search Podcast City Network, and of course you can follow Podcast City Network on the official website, podcastcity.net. You can check out shows like Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast, the Everett Lee Show, Second Rounds, New York and Florida edition, Chris Carnage Show, Imaginarium with Scott and Todd, Super Radio Brothers, and much, much more coming to the network. And also Mantra Yoga Living with Kelly, which is the new show, which will be debuting sometime next week. And, of course, you can check out Podcast City Network on Facebook, Podcast City Network, and on Twitter. Send a tweet to Podcast City Network on Twitter, at Podcast City Net. You can follow Everett Lee on Twitter, at the Everett Lore Score Lee, Facebook.com, the Everett Lee Show.
Thank you, Everett, for being on.
Thank
you for jumping on to the Deathmatch Russell podcast to join our conversation tonight. That was great. Perfect. And I want to say thank you again to our guest for being on, Lewis from the Manor Wrestling Professional, the Manor Professional Wrestling Dinner. That's a lot to say in one sentence. But yes, it was great to hear what he had to say, and he's, sounds like it's something it's a touristy thing. I'm digging that. I like that. That's something we need. People are traveling. They need something to do, and wrestling and dinner. You can't beat that. You cannot beat that. And watch some wrestling and have a good old time. All right, folks. Well, Deathmatch Russell podcast. What's going on with me this weekend? I think I got one podcast on Sunday night with JT Funk. His name is. And stay tuned for that. Thank you for listening. Have a good night. Talk to you later, Everett.
Okay.
Oh, you'll edit this, I know. You can find more Deathmatch Russell podcasts on the following social media: deathmatchrussell.com, follow on Twitter @DavidNJ32, and on Facebook, facebook.com/DJDaveNJ32. Find me on Podcast City Network at podcastcity.net, facebook.com/Podcast City Network. Hit the like button and share, and on Twitter @PodcastCityNet. You can hear Deathmatch Russell podcast on Stitcher Radio and on iTunes.